Welcome to the Stop Wasting Your Wine podcast, a wine review podcast where we waste our wine so you don't have to. On this episode, we review
a white wine from New Zealand.
Welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. I am Joel. Of course, I am joined by my best buds, Colin and Aaron. What's going on, guys?
Hi, Joel.
Not too much, man. I am a little bit stuffy tonight. I don't know if you guys can tell.
Yeah.
I had a tiny bit of a cold, so I'm really going to rely heavily on Aaron for the aromas and flavor profiles in this wine. So I really look forward to that segment of this episode.
He's got it.
Oh,
I'm not worried about it.
This could be a fun
Not
one. Right
worried
off the
about it.
bat, this is going to be a fun one. I love that. And you sound a little, I can tell, Colin. You doing okay over there, buddy?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just a little cold thing. You know, nothing crazy, but the sinuses are a little stuffed. So, you know,
Might
I'll
I
do the best I
say-
can.
Is it the
Actually-
allergies? It's the allergies.
That's all.
It might be. I mean, Florida, it's always allergy season, so it's probably the allergies.
But then you can't go anywhere because everybody's like, oh, boy, what's going
Yeah,
on with this guy?
Here comes Mr. COVID.
It's
It's like, no,
allergies.
it's just allergies.
Allergies. Oh, don't worry, man. I got your back today. I'll describe our wine as being heavily dependent on ketchup and syrups.
That's the kind of content that people tune in for. So that
Today's
should be
wine
perfect.
brought to you by the Heinz Corporation.
I'm just trying to elevate the conversation, really.
And I think that's how we get there.
That is how we get there. Today's wine is not actually brought to you by the Heinz Corporation. But Aaron, tell us a little bit about the wine today.
Sure, absolutely. So today we have a Sauvignon Blanc from the producer Framingham in the region of Marlborough. It is a 13% alcohol by volume wine. And once again, we picked it up from the wonderful establishment of Total Wine. Colin and I are a bunch of suckers because we picked it up for what's still a pretty good deal of $19.99. But Joel waited until the last possible second to grab this wine,
did.
and in doing so, actually nabbed it at the sales price of $16.99.
It's a good deal.
Can I tell you something else? Can I raise you one situation too? I was at work today. I forgot we were recording tonight, gentlemen. I was sitting at work and I
Well
said,
done.
oh my gosh, because that's how I prepare. I said, oh my gosh, I need to get this wine. I did not want to drive past my house from the office to go to the Total Wine to pick it up. I remembered you can get that stuff delivered, guys. That's the level of procrastination that I hit today. I remembered at 3:00. I submitted an order, essentially raced the delivery person to my house. 5:30, I had my wines delivered at the house. I was ready to go. That's a new level.
They do same day delivery, like
Same
you
day,
ordered
within
today.
2
and
hours.
That's impressive.
2 hours,
And I
Aaron.
just want to say I really appreciate your dedication to the show, Joel. Not willing to
you.
drive to the store to get the wine on the day
Yeah.
we're recording really shows a level of dedication that just Aaron and I aren't there. So
That
Is there a delivery fee?
That is how much you guys and this podcast means to me. And you know what? There is one, but they're running a special. They were running a special where there was no delivery fee today. I just a couple of bones to the driver, and we were home free. So there you go.
you won today,
Procrastination,
huh?
kid. I
Yeah.
did. I think I did. I
Yeah,
did.
totally.
And now I'm drinking wine with you, fine gentlemen. It's been a good one.
And can I say one thing about Sauvignon Blanc and Marlborough? I'm really excited to try this wine because Sauvignon Blanc, one of my favorite wine grapes. Marlborough, one of my favorite regions to get Sauvignon Blanc from. So I'm really hoping this stacks up against some of the other ones that I've really enjoyed. So I'm excited to see how this one turns out.
They just really crush wine and cigarettes there. Pretty cool.
I've never been, but that sounds like a place I'd like to go to.
All right, well, it's that time of the podcast here. We're all here. We might as well learn one thing while we're together. So let's go ahead and talk about our fun fact of the day.
This is the only thing you will learn.
So this is week 3, right? Yes, 3 of 5 in our series on structure and structural components. And another good reason to be drinking Sauvignon Blanc tonight is we're talking about acid. And Sauvignon Blanc is a naturally high acid white wine, which is, perfect. You can't see Aaron's face, but he's like, "Wow, no way did that line up like that." But I know it's pretty incredible. It just so happened that we'd be talking about acid and drinking Sauvignon Blanc. Crazy.
It's almost like you planned it out, Colin. Brilliant. Well done.
Yeah, but I didn't. No, I did. It's absolutely how I wanted this to go. But so what we're going to talk a little bit about is what acid is, how you feel it in your mouth, and then how you describe it. Pretty much kind of like tannin, which we talked about last episode, but we're doing acid today. So what is acid?
We're doing acid
like
today.
tannin,
This is going to be a
Hey, now.
really
I thought it was
fun
a wine
wine.
podcast.
Yeah.
Why does my wine taste like dragons?
Well, we're not talking about that kind of acid today. This is more the acid you would find in fruit, which, having had some fruit before, doesn't quite give you that same trippy vibe.
Speak
So
for yourself, man. You ever had a really good pear? My God. Oh, boy.
have you seen hot dogs on the ceiling, huh?
What?
I don't know. I would imagine that's something you would see on acid. I don't. But, okay. So, much like tannin, acid is a naturally occurring component in wine. And unlike tannin, where you have a drying sensation in your mouth, acid gives you a mouth-watering sensation. So if you've ever bitten into a lemon or tried a really tart fruit, there's actually acid not only in grapes, but in all fruit. You get that kind of mouth-watering, intense, sour, tart sensation, and that's basically what acid does in wine. And people describe acid, you can describe it as tangy, you can describe it makes a wine bright. So when you hear people using those terms, they're talking about how they're experiencing acid. And a good way to test how acidic a wine is, if you really want to focus in on that, is you take a sip, swish it around a bit, and then open your mouth and try to feel all of the saliva coming out of your saliva glands. And that'll give you an idea of how much acid is in a wine, which is described as either being a low acid wine, a medium acid wine, or a high acid wine. And that is how you would describe it if you were to walk into a wine shop and ask. That is my spiel on acid. Do we have any questions, comments, or concerns about acid and not the drug?
I'm just really proud of us for there were so many opportunities to make more jokes in there, and Aaron and I took the high road. We let you do your thing, and I'm just really proud of us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Because there's just a lot. There was a lot there. But I'm like trying to focus on, like, you're saying so many really important, thoughtful things that I need to learn myself. And so while I'm simultaneously making faces at Joel right now, I'm also like, I need to listen to this. This is important.
All right, well, that's the part where we learned a little bit of something. So let's get into the fun part. Let's open up these bottles.
Tastes like wine.
Excellent.
Misleading because that started with a pop sound.
And this is, in fact, a screw top. So,
Well, I don't have a screw top drop, so we're just going to have to go with
that would just
the
be like
pop.
a very funny sounding drop. Like,
That would...
okay.
Well, grab that, because that is now officially the sound that we're going to use. Okay.
Is there any advantage, by the way, like screw top versus cork, as far as like longevity of a wine, or their cork?
Yeah, it all comes down to producer preference, but you usually see corks in wines that are meant to age longer. Cork allows a good amount of air into the wine, which is really important when it comes to aging. And screw caps, while they do allow some air, and they're built to allow some air, but they're usually put on wines that are meant to be drank younger. So, a Cabernet Sauvignon from Bordeaux is meant to age, so you're almost always going to find that under a cork, as opposed to this wine, supposed to be drank relatively young. So
Tonight.
you're going to find it more so under a screw cap. And this one from New Zealand, they try to put everything under screw top. So
Is that
you'll...
an environmental thing, Colin?
Yeah, it is. The Kiwis just get it down there. They're trying to save the world and produce good wine.
Thanks, New Zealand.
What a sweet combination of things.
Yeah,
Like, we're
absolutely.
gonna make wine and save the world. But to be real smug about it too.
They get it.
All right, boys. Well, on that note, let's go ahead and give it a swirl and see what we're smelling.
Smells like good.
It smells like wine.
No, I really like the way that smells. I'm getting some melon here, like some honeydew melon. I get a little bit of passion fruit and maybe a little bit of like lemon lime. It's not quite lemon, not quite lime, somewhere in the middle. What are you guys picking up?
I mean, I feel like Sauvignon Blanc specifically has a very specific scent to it.
Absolutely.
What is that?
And that's that. Yes. So that is that passion fruit note, which is also sometimes a lot of people say grapefruit.
I was going to say grapefruit.
And those two, yeah. And those two are absolutely interchangeable because they really, if you've ever had a passion fruit, taste a lot like a grapefruit. And honestly, before I went out and tried a passion fruit myself, I would always say grapefruit when I tasted Sauvignon Blanc. So the only reason why I said passion fruit now, I could have easily said grapefruit, and that's totally fine because, yes, is because I went out and tried a passion fruit because in my wine studies, that is a flavor term often associated with Sauvignon Blanc.
It's funny you say that because I don't think I've ever just gone out and had a passion fruit by itself. So my head immediately went to grapefruit. But it kind of goes back to what we were talking about a couple episodes ago where, until you've had that, until you've experienced that flavor, you can't really correlate the flavor of the wine to whatever you've had. So, part of why I guess folks just kind of get different things out of different wines.
Yeah, and that's why it doesn't really matter what you do get because it's, again, all totally subjective. So, grapefruit is totally right. Passion fruit is totally right. There's really no wrong answer. It's all about your perspective and what you've tried in the past and what you're able to remember. So, grapefruit is a great call here.
Nice. All right, guys, let's give it a taste. Oh, yeah. Definitely, since you said lemon lime, that's 100%. I'm with you there.
And we talked about acidity today. So what do you notice? You feel it?
I mean, so as I've said and demonstrated with my actions and words over the past couple episodes, I really struggle with like naming like the specific relatable flavors, but hearing some of the language you use when talking about acidity, especially like tartness, that is language that's really coming to like the forefront of my thinking on this. Like it's very tart. There's definitely like that kind of like sour-esque feeling to it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I almost have the feeling like after you've had a really sour candy like a Warhead or something like that, kind of where that leaves your mouth. I'm getting a lot of that right now.
Yeah,
not quite as much as a Warhead, but that kind of effect,
And this is absolutely what you would consider a high acid wine. So if you like this and you like the acid profile of this, that's one you can bank in your vocab box. This is a high acid wine. And really, like, if you do the little experiment where you take a sip and open your mouth and just let the saliva kind of drip, you really get a lot. And even, like, I took a sip a while ago, and I'm still getting the effects of acidity. This thing is really almost like, I would describe this as searing acid because it really, not only is it super intense up front, but it stays around for such a long time. But I love that personally. I'm a big acid head. Gosh, that just sounds like I do drugs.
Run it straight into it. Like
you can't say it without it sounding like you're a drug.
Like you sound like a police officer trying to convince drug addicts that you're one of them. No, I just love acid. Just a big acid head over here. Just
any other acid heads in here?
Raise your hands. Just gonna take a quick selfie.
So yes, but beyond the acid, I do get a lot of that passion fruit / grapefruit. That melon definitely comes through a little bit, although it's not huge. You need that citrus. You can't really talk about acid without that citrus note. They seem to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So the lemon lime, I think, is a pretty good call on this. And then you almost get like, if you really swish it around for a minute, you get like just a hair, just a tiny bit of peach. Like it just kind of floats around in the back. Yeah. But it's definitely in there a little bit.
Hopefully this makes sense. I was going to designate this another CPP, another certified porch pounder. But I got to tell you, I don't know if this is, I don't think I would say porch pounder because I think there's a little bit more going on here. And it's almost like, gosh, I want to sit down with some shrimp or something or some fish and just really enjoy this. So I'm not going to call it a CPP, but it is extremely refreshing and very bright. And
I I mean, it's something about Sauvignon Blanc. Like, I'm not a huge Sauvignon Blanc fan. So this is a very tasty wine, but like there is something about folks who drink a Sauvignon Blanc, like when they're on the porch out on a nice day, them just like, oh, there's just something about the flavor that like does not make me want to sit outside and drink this, because it's not as like crisp and dry and refreshing as like a rosé or something like that. There's just something about that aftertaste, the tartness. And maybe it's the wateringness of the mouth and like the getting thirsty, and like it's almost like feeling less hydrated if I'm like outside in warmer weather. I don't know. There's just something about it that just after the first glass is like not something I'd want to be drinking when it's hot outside.
Yes. Yeah, the acidity, it can be much. If you're not ready for that hit of acidity, it can be pretty offensive. So it's definitely a wine that you have to try a couple of to see if that level of acidity is something that you like, because some people don't, and that's okay.
Well, speaking of what we like and don't like, let's go ahead and officially move into our review time.
All right.
Yeah, but did they like it? It's time for the review.
All right, boys. So we've talked about what we're tasting. Got a little bit into what we're thinking after we've enjoyed a couple of sips. So this is the Framingham Sauvignon Blanc 2021. It's time for the official reviews. So, Colin, I'm going to start with you. Where are we putting this? Are we putting this in our wine fridge? Putting this on the kitchen table to share with our friends? Putting this in the closet to save for a rainy day? Are we putting this down the drain?
For me, this is definitely a kitchen table wine, and for a couple of reasons. One, I'm just a big Sauvignon Blanc fan. But yeah, I like this one. It's tasty, and I think it's a really good example of a Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough. So if you wanted to show this to somebody who's getting into Sauvignon Blanc or might not know what a Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand might taste like, this would be a really good example of that.
Aaron?
Yeah, I think my bias here is that I am not a lover of Sauvignon Blanc. So like when I'm trying to figure out where I would place this, I definitely trust the two of you when it comes to valuing where this lands. I think personally, this would be more of a like emergency break glass, closet wine. It's just I didn't like pour this and say like, wow, this is something that I want to put out for people. It tastes like a Sauvignon Blanc to me, and it doesn't stand out as anything more exciting than anything I've had before. But that's just me. So definitely not down the drain, but maybe not something I'm like showing off and telling my friends about.
Well, if Colin's coming over and I'm coming over too, please do pull out this wine, because I am putting this safely on my kitchen table for when my friends come over. I really enjoyed this wine, guys. I like a Sauvignon Blanc. I can't say that I've had a Sauvignon Blanc from the Marlborough region of New Zealand before. And Colin, you said this might be kind of a great example of that region's Sauv Blanc. And if that's the case, sign me up. I'm a big fan. I kind of like the fact I always associate Sauvignon Blancs with a big peachy kind of punch in the front. I like that this one really shows more in that lemon lime to the face in the beginning there. And honestly, I was almost going to call this another CPP on this show, another certified porch pounder, but I don't think I want to, because to me, there's just a little bit more going on in this one. I like the texture, love the flavor, and this is one that I almost more want to showcase with, I don't know, some kind of great food, maybe some shrimp or some fish or something like that, and really kind of show what's going on with it. So safely on my kitchen table, I'm a big fan.
Yes, sir. I'm right there with you.
Excellent. So writing might be on the wall here, guys, but let's go around the table. Is this a waste of our wine, Colin?
No, absolutely not. Kitchen table wines would rarely be a waste of our wine. And I really like this one. I enjoy it. I would absolutely buy this again. So this one was not a waste of our wine.
Yeah, not a waste. I think definitely if you're keeping an eye on sales, in the Total Wine, magazine, email, whatever you're getting, and you see it, this is a wine that drops down to $16.99, $15.99. It's definitely a good pickup, especially at that price point.
Absolutely. Under $20. Delicious. We've got another unanimous not waste of your wine. So I'm right there with you guys. All right. Well, there it is. Hey guys, did you know that we have an online presence? Did you guys know that?
I'm hoping so.
I was aware. I did create it. So Yes.
Oh, well, there. So you know firsthand. Well, Aaron, let's tell the listeners a little bit about how they can interact with us here at Stop Wasting Your Wine podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there are three big things that we would love from our listeners at this point that would really help us out, get this plane off the ground. One would be whatever streaming service that you are on, Spotify or whatever. Please if you have the option to leave a nice review, please do. If you have the option to leave a not nice review, please don't. 2, follow us on Instagram. Follow us on there, leave a comment, say hi. And 3, visit our website, stopwastingyourwine.com. Come on, check it out. You can read about us. You can see what we look like. I'm sorry about that ahead of time. And obviously read about the wines, see where we put things, and, follow a link to pick them up on your own.
There you have it. Thank you so much for joining us today. And guys, don't waste your wine. Have a good one. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.